I'm from Italy and watching Turf Talk with Stokes and Logan.
If pen and ink, I connect together words in my bitten. So I would urge you listen to these words that I'm spitting. We all die. Some of us certainly and some they like Pac-Man trying.
All right, here we are, divisional show, finally. I gotta tell this quick little story, Stocks. They tried to stop us, Stocks has an older version of a spreadsheet form. He couldn't get the newer Excel version. We had to go through a lot of trouble. So send your donations to me and Stocks, and here's your divisional show. But no, in all seriousness, we're gonna go in first down. We're gonna talk about the Packers and the NFC North division. And this division is going to be very fun for me because I'm welcoming back my old buddy, my old rivalry in Stocks. When I first started this league, Stocks was one of the first guys I played. I was the Falcons, he was the Saints, and a franchise dedicated to fantasy, wasn't it? You had like AP. It was basically like a fantasy league. It's going to be nice because we have our favorite teams now. You have your Packers. I have my Lions. It's just going to add to the legacy of our rivalry. But let's talk about, in first down, we're going to talk about every team, so don't worry, there's 4 teams each division, so one team will get each down. Let's talk about the Packers in the first down segment. What do you think about the Packers overall? First impression, Stocks.
First impressions, I like it. There's some goods, there's some bads. It's going to be intriguing that for me switching over all these years, what players are really going to stand out for me and, how to use them, in a different sense of me using the Saints all these years. So I think that's going to be the challenge for me in that aspect.
Now, Matt, I asked you a question because I know, just because I know you so well, you're kind of the old school guy. You like the 2 tight end sets. You like to run the ball, field position and winning on defense. This team is more of a, spread it out, kind of gunslinging type team. And you're used to watching that in Brett Favre, but just that doesn't always scream in your gameplay. Are you excited to try, the more spread out passing game of the Packers, or are you going to kind of mold them, to be that old school team?
I may tweak it a little bit.
Yeah.
But if the team's rated a 91 overall, I don't really think I should be messing with anything because I think it's a good foundation team and it's ready. If my skills are up to it, I believe I can make a run. Maybe once at a Super Bowl. It's definitely gonna change my style, but I've never done this style before, so it could help. Make me learn something about Madden and something I'm not used to because, the high flying, I guess, air it out show.
Do you trade a guy like Finley to get a running back to go back to that running style? I mean, I'm not saying blow your team up. I'm saying you've been more of a running team, and let's be honest, so if we look at the overalls, there's no great runner. We do not have Cedric Benson's ratings because Madden, obviously, he just signed. They haven't put him in the game. Now, you'll have him in the connected careers. Let's guess he's going to be like an 81, 80 overall.
That sounds correct. I could live with that. You know what I mean? I could live with that type of running back. The other guy that's going to be intriguing to me is he blew out his ACL last year, Alex Green. He's only rated a 68. He's coming off a major knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
But his style of running is the type of second down, third down back I want, and I'm looking for, more of that scat back.
Well, he's got 76 catching, which surprised me. I did see this kid out of Hawaii. He is the real deal, and I think he could be an every down back. I really do.
Yeah, I don't know about every down, but like I said, he's going to be that good scat back, so I'm definitely excited to play with him.
His stats remind me of a little bit like a LaShore type. He's big, he's somewhat fast, but what's interesting, I got the same dilemma, and it's a good dilemma to have. Your speed's only like an 86, 87, but then that Excel, when he hits that hole, he goes up, and that's the same thing I got with LaShore. So that's a fun back to play with. So I'll be interested to see what you can do with him. Any other guys stand out? I think you need a backup quarterback. No?
Yeah, yes. I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, no one ever thinks about this thing when we do the divisional breakdown. And I'm sorry, but everyone knows you got Clay Matthews. Everyone knows you got,
Yeah,
Jordy Nelson.
yeah,
Do we really got to
yeah.
break down those stats? I mean, those guys are going to be dynamite, but they're not going to be any good if Aaron Rodgers goes down.
Yeah, no. If Aaron Rodgers goes down, the whole ship goes down. And when you have a backup quarterback in Graham Harrell and B.J. Coleman, you definitely could be in trouble. Graham Harrell has a noodle arm. I can't, he's 66 overall. His awareness is horrible. It's just, I don't even want to look at his stats because I know I don't want him.
His throw power is 78.
Yeah, see, that's just, I don't even want to know that. Yeah, I will be looking maybe if, free agency with maybe if McNabb's there, it's just somebody that could just fill the void. B.J. Coleman is a rookie that, he's an up and coming. He's only rated at 61, but he's got some intrigue. He's a work in progress, so we don't know what the overalls will be, but he's got a 93 throwing power. So that's huge. You know what I mean? It's a good stat to start with, and for him to build off of in that category.
Now, I'm not saying you got to worry like I got to worry, because Matthew Stafford's injury rating is a 65. So I got to worry a little bit more. Now, I got a quality backup already. That being said, as good as Aaron Rodgers' stats are, he's not in the 90s for injury rating. He's just outside with the 88. So I'm going to be bringing that wide 9. And, and you got, Cliff Averill and those boys, and I'm going to be shifting fresh guys in there. So they'll be giving you everything we got. You got Julius Peppers from the Bears. You got, Allen from the Vikings. I mean, that division, if nothing else, can pass rush. And I want to transition to your team because we are talking about the Packers. And I want to talk about a rusher and help me out with the name. Kid from the Trojans, Nick Perry. What do you think of Perry as a rusher? Do you see him being the guy that could be beside Clay Matthews?
Well, he's going to have to be because, the other guys just aren't cutting it. The Brad Jones, the Eric Waldens, they're not cutting it. Frank Zombo, those guys are, they had their shot, and they're just not. They don't have that one skill that they need to get to the quarterback, and I think Nick Perry has that opportunity to do that, and if he can, even in real life, and in Madden, I don't think Matthews will get double teamed all the time. So that's all we're really looking for is somebody to get pressure off Clay.
Now what's his overall?
He's a 73.
Okay, so as the progressions go, based on how many games you win, based on different statistical things, different challenges the game will give you. They'll say throw 5 touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers, and the better ranked your team is, the harder the challenges will be. But when you get those points, you can apply them to individual players. So you can make Perry's speed a little faster. Now, I should preface by saying, I've talked to some people that have the game already. There's ways you can download it if you want to pay a little extra, which some people have done. And I've talked to those people, Stocks, and they said progressions are not easy. They said, do not worry. No one's going to be taking advantage of this. Now, obviously, the better teams are going to have the better players because they're going to have more XP than maybe a guy like me who might be struggling, or, another team. But they were saying, you have to spend over 1,000 XP points just to get one upgrade. So if you wanted Aaron Rodgers' throw power to go from, I don't even know what it is, but I'm just going to say hypothetically it's a 90. And if you wanted it to go from a 91, you're going to have to spend well over 1,000 points. So it's not going to be overnight you can make him a 99 speed guy or anything like that. Does that make it fun to have a rookie like Perry, you think? A guy that you can say, oh, I want it in strength. I want it in, his speed. Now, granted, you can't make him a 99 overnight, but having that power, is it a good thing or is it a curse?
Oh, no, it's going to be a good thing. And it's going to make people, like we said, it's going to collaborate, the people that come on and really work with their team from, on and off the field and strategically place those points in specific weaknesses you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if you can exploit those and really, get at those weaknesses, you're going to make your team better slowly. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Because that's the way the NFL works. Everybody has a shot, but you can't turn talent into overnight. And that's a great thing that they do that they make it harder, because it is a slow progression in real life, and it should be in Madden.
And we are going to speed up the progressions. So let's be honest here. We're making it slightly easier in the sense that we know we only play, 4 seasons?
Yeah,
so,
we'll say 4 seasons, yep.
Yeah, we're not going to play 15 seasons like they do in real life, so we speed up the progressions. We give you, I think, monthly progressions we decided on in the rules committee?
I believe so.
I think that's what we did. So every month you're gonna get X amount of points, you're gonna apply it, and boom, you guys are gonna upgrade slightly. But that's a good thing that they don't overblow these proportions, because no one wants to be playing a dream team come year 2, You want to keep it as realistic as possible, but I do like that you can choose what you progress. They did say, though, if you're going to take a guy like Tom Brady and try to improve his speed, it's going to cost you more than a Michael Vick. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I heard. That's good, but let's get back to your Packers now. And I said we don't need to talk about, guys like Greg Jennings or Jordy Nelson, but we kind of do. I mean, we know what they are, but we still got to give them some love, don't we? Who's your favorite guy, you think? Without giving too much away.
The intriguing guy for me that's going to, really help me out is Randall Cobb. He's going to be my punt, kickoff returner. He's going to be my slot wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's going to be my, guy that I'm going to be doing a little bit of everything with. He's an up and coming, I think, in real life also. He's got the skills. He just needs to hang on to the ball. His attributes are really, really, it stands out. He's rated 76 overall. He's got a 92 speed. His acceleration is a 95, so 94.
He's also going to be on your special teams, right?
Oh yeah, he's gonna do my punt and kicks.
Yeah.
So he's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting Cobb on the field and see what he can do.
What about are you a Finley guy? I think in the game Finley has his place, but it's almost like we got on Raz a lot last year. Too many cooks in the kitchen. No, you didn't make any trades. You didn't get those cooks, but they're already in the kitchen stocks. Is there too many of them?
No, I think it's a core of guys that at the skill positions you really want to be skilled at, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And in my type of offense that I like to run, I need to have that high-powered, strong, fast, big tight end, and Finley fits that, void. And I've done it all these years when, being with the Saints, with Graham. So it's going to kind of carry over into 13 with Finley, because he's not at that echelon, but he's that type, and he could become, that echelon with, hanging on to the ball a little bit more, making a few more spectacular catches. But no, I don't have anything. I have just a good enough amount of cooks in the kitchen at the skill positions.
Let's play a name game. I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now.
Okay.
I figure, hell, this is pretty fun. Would you take, let's say Manny calls you up, says, you know what? I messed up last year. I had an awesome chance to keep my Packers intact, and I gave one of these guys away, and I just want my chance to redeem myself in Madden 13. I think Vernon Davis and, Finley would be a great combination. I'll give you Frank Gore for Finley. Do you entertain it at least? Or are you like, no, traditionally that's my guy, I want a tight end? Because you got some younger tight ends on that roster, do you not? I mean, that roster has some younger tight ends.
Yeah,
And with the progressions, you can build whoever you want on this team. I mean, that's the honest to good thing about this. I mean, the most exciting thing to me is I can take a guy who's a 58-5 overall, this middle linebacker, Moses, whoever he is, and I can make him, probably not in 4 years I couldn't make him an all-star, but I can make him a serviceable backup at least, you think. So, do you propose something like that?
Off the bat, I say no because I'm not a Frank Gore.
Yeah.
His style does not, fit what type of runner I'm looking for. So no, I would have to shoot that down.
Yeah. Okay. I was just playing, some. But I mean, we'll see what happens. Now, do you think Clay Matthews is overrated?
I actually think he's a little underrated in my sense with a 94. And the reason why I say that is not because I'm a homer or whatever, but
right.
I guess out of all the years I've been watching Clay Matthews, and I really watch, what happens to him in the full sense of the play,
Mm-hmm.
and in real life, and you translate that into Madden is he's always being double teamed, and I know the best get double teamed, this and that, but his explosion off the ball is remarkable, and his knack to get to the ball is nonstop. And I think this year will be a huge bounce back in that aspect of he won't be getting double teamed as often as he did, and basically the runs running away from his side, they would run on his other side, and he would have to chase down that play because they were going after the weak linebacker, which we had. So they would always run to the opposite field, and he would always have to chase it down 4 or 5 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't getting those tackles for losses as he usually does.
Now, I'm also gonna try to give you a reasonable. I'm gonna call them expectations. They're not predictions, but they're expectations at the end of the podcast. So at the end of this whole divisional breakdown, I'm gonna give you expectations of each team. And we could obviously Stocks is going to take over the Packers, so he can comment on his own team because obviously you have expectations. But I don't think it would be fair to say, hey, predict what you think you're going to do. But I think from an expectation standpoint, you already mentioned it. Super Bowl is where the Packers are headed. Now Stocks, we're looking at this. We're trying to give you the divisional breakdown as quick as possible. So me and Stocks literally just figured a way to do this, and we jumped right into it. We haven't got a lot of time to check. Now, when you were talking, I looked up a key stat, I think, this year, and it's the cornerback, wide receiver, kind of battle. I think that's going to play out a lot in this game. I think, wide receivers and corners are going to be going at it. We're going to see some pretty awesome animations. You don't have, Tramon Williams was a beast for Manny last year. The guy, he had really good man coverage. Now, this year, your best man coverage is Tramon Williams, but only 93 is your highest man coverage. That scare you at all? It goes 93, 83, 81.
It doesn't scare me because actually, from what I'm going to be doing is putting Charles Woodson at safety over the top, and they have him rated as a cornerback here. So I think Charles Woodson playing the safety position is definitely going to cover up anything that gets kind of beat over the top, and having Charles Woodson play in safety in Madden, I don't think Manny's done it ever. So I think that's going to give a new look to this Packer defense.
The Eagles did it last year when he acquired Woodson, and it worked out beautifully. I had to play against it. Now Woodson's at 81 man coverage, 90 zone, so he's a perfect safety. And they've talked about it in real life. But from a corner standpoint, you don't got very many man coverage guys. Does that scare you at all? Your zone coverage guys are pretty good, granted, but I don't know, that would scare me just slightly.
No, see, the cornerback position, depth doesn't scare me. The whole thing, I'll just make it quick, is getting to the quarterback, will help those cornerbacks out. In the long run, if you can get to the quarterback and put a little bit more pressure and get there quicker, it gives those cornerbacks less time to stay with their man.
Mm-hmm.
So, it can cover up those holes, and you know, when you have, like I said, it's going to come back on Woodson. Morgan Burnett isn't too shabby either. So
No.
That's one of my holes, I guess. That's good, but having Woodson there, in the outfield.
I don't disagree. I think you guys are a zone-oriented team, and you'll be fine. But you can't really, you can't really run a lot of man if your best man guy is 93.
Yep.
I mean, I guess, but Calvin Johnson's gonna love that.
Yes, he will.
No, but I will say, one of the most surprising stats for me, Stocks, and I think even you'll be a little bit surprised. And I like Woodson. He's a Michigan guy. He came out of Michigan. I've always liked Woodson as the only Packer I've actually liked in a while. But his spectacular catch is a 79. That's pretty good for a free safety, isn't it?
Yeah, he does. He doesn't drop a lot of balls. That's a huge thing, and he makes spectacular catches. Even if the quarterback tries to narrow it into a corner or something, and he's coming, he's usually going to make that catch. So that's an intriguing stat, definitely.
Now, as we close up your team, I want to give you the last 3 minutes, but I want to hit on a few more things. Clay Matthews' hit power is 94. I know you love that hit power, and you got a crush on a Cushing brother, so maybe you can bring those two guys together. But Clay Matthews is a 94 for hit power. Bishop's a 91. I mean, this team can hit, somewhat, and it's going to be, exciting to see. Now, you were talking about Morgan Burnett. He's an 88 hit power for a free safety. So you got the corner, ball skills of Woodson, and then the run stopping, hit power ability of Burnett. It's a pretty good combo. I'm going to give you the last few minutes to sum up your team. Any stats jump out at you?
There's a guy that Manny always liked. He's a left outside linebacker named Vic Soto.
Yeah.
He's rated 65 overall, but he has a few intriguing stats. He's got just an 82 speed, but when you look down at his other. It's not opening. His other stats. His awareness is pretty solid. 80. 82.
And that's always good to have in a linebacker too, awareness.
So as for depth wise, the team's built very well, and that's huge. So that's why you don't really blow up a team that has the depth that I already have. I mean, you kind of just nit and pick. The weaknesses that you have. But to go in here and just blow it up would be silly,
So let me get this straight. You're not worried about your corners and they're a little bit low in the man coverage. And you're not worried about your running backs?
No, I think Cedric Benson will be, I'm not sure how I'm going to like his style, how he fits. But I think he can get the job done. And like I said, I think Alex Green, up and coming, can be a really good third down back. And I will probably be in the market for another running back, but nothing big.
There's a rumor that you might lose James Starks. Does that change your opinion of the running back core?
No. He's just not. He doesn't do anything great. He's always hurt. So no. I think the Cedric Benson show should be able to hang. For this 1 year, and look towards the draft.
Then you got Alex Green. You always got the draft.
Yep.
I think you'll be fine. Now we're gonna do a free agent show, so it'll be, that'll have to wait till we get the game, but that'll be an interesting one as well. Maybe who knows who will be cutting camp? Maybe you have a Terrell Owens there in free agency. Mike Williams could be there, like you said, a McNabb for anyone who needs a backup quarterback. So that would be an interesting show. I wanted to throw that out there. Let's go into another team in the division. And the expectation, I'll say really quick for this team as we wrap them up. I think this team, you'd expect them to make the playoffs at least every year. Now, Stocks is going to be in a pretty, I would say an average division. I don't think the division is going to be too tough. I do think there'll be some teams, vying for the wild card maybe in this division of the North. But there's a lot of good players in this league. So getting to the playoffs is a pretty big accomplishment in itself. And then once you get there, Stocks, you'll see what happens. But I think expectation-wise, I think the playoffs is, right where you expect to be with that team. Let's go on to the Lions. I don't want to sound egotistical here, Stocks, but we got to talk about our team somewhat. Hopefully, at the end of this, we can get our teams out of the way, and by the, they don't think we're trying to talk about our teams, but we do play in the league after all. So
Yeah, we have to talk about both of our teams and which way better to do it than us.
I'll tell you what, if they gave me $50 a month, I would resign from the league and I would just do these podcasts on good merit. But until then, I do these podcasts for free and I'm going to play in the league. So let's talk about the Lions. Now, Matthew Stafford's rating. A lot of people, say he doesn't deserve that rating, whatever else. I still think the 65 is low, but let's look beyond the obvious, like we did with your team. I mean, we know Calvin Johnson's going to be good. We know Matthew Stafford got a boost. Is there anybody else on the roster that kind of sticks out? Do you want to ask any questions? Any guys that you're curious about?
Yeah, the tight end position in Brandon Pettigrew. He's an intriguing tight end. It's basically what type of tight end is he more going to be in Madden. He's got catching ability. His speed is very low at a 73. He's more known for run blocking, but is he going to be that type of two-way tight end? That's kind of like the old-fashioned tight ends they used to have, where they did more blocking, like the Tony Gonzalez types, and when he does go out for a pass, it's not the big bombs, it's more the the underneath stuff and move the chains. What do you believe you're going to get out of this Brandon Pettigrew in this type of offense?
Well, first of all, I've always liked Pettigrew. I think Pettigrew plays a lot faster than his speed. I would tend to agree he can look very slow, but when the ball's up in the air, he hits that other extra gear, so I'm hoping that happens. I've traded him in previous years, and that's because I think EA's been really harsh on his catching ability. I think, they watched him play and they're like, oh, this is slow, he's a run blocker. The guy was one of our number one, goal line options outside of Calvin Johnson. Calvin was on the outside, but most of the time the ball went inside to, Pettigrew. I think he had 7 touchdowns. And so I want to keep him this year because they improved his passing, they improved his catching, and we'll see what we can do. I don't mind the speed that much. I mean, I got burners on the outside. If I want to throw it deep, I'm going to go to Calvin Johnson or Titus Young. He's more the safety valve. And let's not forget, I have Tony Scheffler, who's more of a wide receiver in our offense, if I want to go with the more speed, more the passing kind of oriented thing. But I think Pettigrew is a really good option for the Lions. And I must say, we look at LaShore and we always wondered, Mikel LaShore, and I said, well, he hasn't played in forever, and he keeps getting these good ratings. He finally got some preseason action tonight, Stocks. His first run for 1 yard.
Yeah, I'd have to hit the motorboating right now if he was, if I had my button ready, but I don't have my motorboating because he's the motorboating running back.
Yeah, he proved he can catch some balls out of the backfield just now. He trucked a guy and whatever else. So maybe, maybe that finally shows up. To be honest, I always thought LaShore was kind of overrated just because we never seen it on the field. So, I mean, I dish on the EA for, saying, oh, Pettigrew, he should have better catching, but they also gave me a pretty good running back for doing nothing in LaShore. So I think that's the way EA kind of works. You were talking about it with your team. One guy was highly rated, then another guy you thought was a little bit higher. So I think it'll all work out. Now, do you think offensive line really matters?
Oh, yeah, of course it does. It's going to keep your quarterback upright. It's going to make those holes a little bit bigger in the running game.
I hope it matters this year. I didn't think it mattered last year, though, to be honest with you.
It should matter. It has to matter because the game starts with the line. I mean, when you break down the simple games of football, the defensive line and the offensive line is what makes the football move. And without those, it just doesn't move that very well. I mean, just look at the teams that don't have them.
That was the key part of my team, I do believe, because I do have to keep Matthew Stafford upright. And that team did a really good job of that. And, you know, I got some guys like Sims and Backus who are old veterans who are going to do that. But if the game doesn't respect the offensive line, you know, I might be in trouble anyways. Now, we do know my defensive line gets respect by Madden. What do you think of my defensive line, just in general?
Yeah, I was just overlooking it, and I actually wanted to see what your theory was of Nick Fairley going down to a 79. I believe he was a high 80 last year, if
Yeah,
I'm not mistaken.
I think he was at least a 79 as well. I think he only played. People forget this. He only played like 3 games last year. He played once in the playoffs and like 2 or 3 times in the season. He only recorded 1 sack, so I have no problem with it. Realistically, that's probably what he deserves. But like we've mentioned with progressions of Perry for your team, another defensive lineman from the north, you know, with progressions we can always, you know, boost those guys up. You know, it takes a little work, but it's nice to have it in your hand. So I can say, oh, I'd rather spend it on my defensive line. Or do I say, hey, I got Corey Williams, I don't need to worry about progressing, you know, fairly as quick. Now, to be honest, I thought about trading fairly even. I mean, my D line is so deep, Stocks. I mean, I got Corey Williams. I got another guy, Sammy Hill. I like, you know, and so, you know, I don't know if I would trade fairly. It would take an offer that I like, but you know, I thought about it.
Yeah, but looking at your defensive line, what I like is you got power in the inside, and you got speed guys on the outside. So you got a little bit of combination of both.
Yeah.
Stop the run and get to the quarterback, and I think that's if you can scheme up, on third down and mix in some good, defensive calls. I think the Lions' defense should hold up, against certain high-powered teams. You know.
Now, I don't want to sound egotistical, so do you got any questions for me outside of pedigree? I think I answered that pretty well. I mean, I don't mind his speed as long as his hand's a lot better, which Madden finally gave me. And meanwhile, he catches the pass in real life, so I guess I got some kind of juju going on. But any other questions about the
Yeah,
Lions?
we'll play that game. What guy, on your team that you're really excited to, that kind of flies under the radar and is not known that you are excited to use and maybe, not give away secrets away, but who's the guy that kind of, has that little star next to him that goes, ooh, you know?
Willie Young, honestly. I think Willie Young, just because the versatility, I could give away a guy like Cliff Averill and get a higher end player. You know, I could get maybe a great linebacker, or I could improve the cornerback by giving away a really good defensive end and feeling okay because I know that, like, that's the beauty about playing with a team that you know. You don't got to blow them up like Stocks keeps saying because you know the team, you know their, strengths and everything. And I like a guy like Willie Young. I also want to see what a guy like Ryan Broyles would do. I think a lot like Stock said with Randall Cobb. You know, he's a chain mover. He's the guy underneath. When you think I'm going to Calvin Johnson, when you expect he's going to throw to the youngster Titus Young. I dump it underneath. He jukes you out of your shoes, and I pick up the first down. Nothing flashy, but those are the type of guys. And I think now I've always been high on this guy, and he keeps getting hurt, and I honestly almost cried when we released him. And I'm excited to use Kevin Smith, to be honest with you. I've always been a Kevin Smith guy. He finally gets a good rating in Madden, and I'm excited to use those type of guys. See, a lot of people hate my running backs. I don't hate my running backs at all.
No, you can't. The big question mark is what's going to happen with Javad Best. Is he going to come into the game and beat him in real life, or is he going to be co-Madden approved where he doesn't get hurt as much and he's you don't know what type of running back they're going to do to him. We don't really know that yet. So
I guess
he's intriguing in that aspect.
I guess it's fitting because we don't really know what we're going to get in real life either. We're going to probably put him on the pup. There's a 99% chance he goes on the pup this year, which means he won't be active till like week 3, week 5 maybe. I mean, but I think it's also a good thing because if we're such a good team and we can win some games without him. That means he's fresh for the playoffs. And you know, even if I got to play with him like that in Madden, where I only give you 10 carries a game, you know, and I lean heavier on Kevin Smith and LaShore. You know, Best is a guy that if I give him 3 carries, he could take it to the house twice. You know, he's got that kind of breakaway speed. You know, would I like for him to be an every down back? Would I like be able to pass to him more to the backfield? Yeah, but if I got to use him as a kind of specialty thing, I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that. I think
So looking over your Lions, you know, what's your, you know, we haven't played the game yet, but what's your outlook? Do you feel like you're finally maybe, you know, the last Madden 12 wasn't your game. It just wasn't your game, and it wasn't fitting your style of play.
Yeah, Stafford threw a lot of things out of bounds.
Do you think, you know, with this type of upgrade in offense and, you know, the playmakers getting that boost that they well deserve, you know, because of Stafford throwing for 5,000 yards and, you know, vice versa, do you think you can finally maybe make a stamp in 13?
One time I want to make the playoffs. And I'm not making a pity play. I mean, I don't want to make a pity playoff saying, oh, Logan's been here and he's never made the playoffs. I want you guys to go hard at me. I just want 1 year where I can make the playoffs. That would be a success for me. Now, I don't know. You know, I keep trying. I try different things. You know, one thing about me is I'm always going to try, you know, new things. I even tried the 3-4 in Madden, 12 to, do something. But I don't know what's going to happen. But I guess there's pressure with a better roster. I mean, you look at Matthew Stafford, one of the top 10 best quarterbacks in the game. Obviously, Kelvin Johnson, who isn't going to move. Please don't ask me any trade offers for him. I want to make that. I made it crystal clear in the chats many times, but my fingers are sore because people just don't seem to understand. I wouldn't trade him away for, anything. There's not a player, not a combination, not a package. I wouldn't even, Barry Sanders wouldn't even be able to come back on the team for that. I mean, it's just not going to happen. And, so that being said, I think, I'm excited to use a guy, and I'm tempted to do kind of what Stocks is doing, where I put a corner at free safety and move Louis Delmas to strong safety. I'm tempted to do it, Stocks. I'm not sure if I'm ready to pull the trigger, though, because I got some young corners. I mean, Spivey might be the guy who I move to safety. I don't know what I'm going to do. Safety is my biggest concern still. I've never been an Eric Coleman guy, just never been, that type of guy. I do like Spivey, so Spivey will probably win the job, but it's still up in the air. Now a lot of people that aren't Lions fans do not understand the value of a guy like Coy Williams. Would you start Coy Williams, or would you start the youngster, Nick Fairley? I think 90% of people outside of Lions fans might say, "Who's Coy Williams?"
Corey Williams, I know very well.
But I know you know him, so.
Yeah, well, he's an every down back. He's not a game changer, but he's a guy that's going to make some plays for you.
Yeah.
And he's just not going to be able to take him out. I mean, you just can't. Because he's always around the ball. He's always disturbing it. I mean, he's strong. He's determined. So, yeah, no, he's got to be an every down player in my aspect.
Yeah. And, he's great against the run. But the thing is I can sub those guys. I mean, me and Stocks are big defensive line guys. I can keep subbing guys. I'd rather, keep guys healthy and fresh than have a guy like Adama Sue go down in week 4, Mm-hmm. I'd even take a Sue out of the game and feel comfortable, because I think Fairley is a younger version of Sue, so I can give Sue a blow, put Fairley and, Fairley and Williams out there, or Sue and Williams, or, I can mix and match it different ways. That's a good thing to me. That's not a bad thing. Having depth is never a bad thing, in my opinion.
No, definitely not.
Now, a lot of people talk about my cornerbacks. I like a guy named Bill Bentley, if you want to look up his stats. He's probably my number 2 corner right now, I think, from just looking at the stats. Not playing. He's 70 overall, so I'll give Stocks a little chance to get there. But I like him. I also like a guy named Chris Greenwood as a deep sleeper who I could develop. Stocks talked about a guy he liked. What's the expectations for my Lions? You kind of hinted that you want to see me take a next step, but what's the expectations?
No, I think I think the pressure's on you again
Mm-hmm.
to perform, and I think if you know take a couple trades here and there, you should be able to make a run at your first playoff run. You really should because of the pieces you have, and you're very good with not wheeling and dealing and making silly trades,
Yeah.
even for draft picks. So I you know. I would like to see you make a playoff run because you should because of the team you have, and with a little mix and matching of your weaknesses and your playing ability getting better and better each year, it something should break, and I think this year it could be.
Now, my rookie corner, the one guy we got in the third round who nobody really talked about, but he's had a really awesome preseason, and he could even go up, Stocks, a little bit. Don't expect him to go up, but he's really, really, really looked good in preseason. But he's got 77 man coverage. This is Bill Bentley. 86 zone coverage, and he can tackle pretty good for a rookie. He's got 76 awareness, so awareness is usually something a rookie doesn't get, so that's exciting for me to see.
He's got 95 agility, which is kind of stands out at cornerback position.
Another guy, kind of guy no one's talking about, and then we can go on to somebody else. Chris Greenwood is really, really exciting for me to develop. A 96 speed corner who's 6'3". I don't know what Madden's going to set him at, but he measures he's a tall 6'2", more looks like a 6'3" guy to me, but this guy is tall and fast, and he's got to develop his zone coverage a little bit better, but I think, as raw as he is, he's got some ability. 74 man, so he's a raw prospect, but what was your guy, Zambo? What was the guy Manny like that you said was a deep sleeper?
Soto?
Yeah. So anyways, those are my deep sleepers, Greenwood and Bentley, guys that no one knows about could really be Doug Hope's another guy, so I'm excited to see this team.
Well, just finishing up, I do want to just let the listeners to know that there is a wide receiver, and we're gonna see if he's gonna be used this year, for the Lions, and his name is Stephen Logan. So what can you give us the down low? Is he gonna be catching some balls this year for the Lions?
He's actually a running back. We got him from the Steelers a few years ago to be on special teams. He's kind of that hybrid, small guy, and he's 5'10", but his specialty is special teams, so we got him because our special teams was horrible. And then he went to running back because Best got injured. So he's been a running back the whole time we've been with the Lions, but for some reason he played a couple downs with the Steelers and was a wide receiver. So for whatever reason, Donnie Moore still thinks he's a wide receiver, but for all intents and purposes, he's a poor man's McCluster. He is a kind of a wide receiver, hybrid, kind of Reggie Bush-ish, but he's more a running back. I hope for Madden 13 I can use him at a running back position. I hope they fix that in the update, because if I lose a guy like Best, Logan's 90 something speed will help if I need to change a pace. I think we're good, aren't we?
Sounds good.
It feels weird talking about your own team. I gotta be honest.
It's a little awkward. I know what you mean.
Okay, we got a special guest in the studio. We're gonna talk to Mike Ditka. I'm just kidding. We don't got Ditka. We don't got that kind of pull around. But maybe Stocks will find some cigars and some golf courses, and we can hunt him down someday. But it's not happening today. But we are going to talk about the Bears and third down as we continue the NFC North breakdown. What do you think of the Bears?
Well, the Brandon Marshall show is coming back to Jay Cutler land, and that's a good thing for the Bears.
Not scared of that in real life, by the way, but
yeah, in real life, and they picked up Michael Bush, which is another power back, and this team always is going to contend with the defense with Urlacher and Briggs. Their schemes run very well. They're just a hard, grinding team. The defensive line's always solid, but the offensive line is their weak point. We all know that.
I tease the Bears fans for being too old. Is that a fair criticism?
It's legit. They are getting old.
See, where my defense and your defense, they got depth. I don't know if I really like the depth on the Bears, to be completely honest. I mean, I might be wrong. I mean, obviously, I like the Lions. They're my favorite team. I know that team inside and out. I watched pretty much all the preseason. Same with, Stocks with his Packers. So maybe there's a guy we don't know about in this roster. But just looking at the depth on this team, I don't like it. I mean, you got Urlacher and Briggs, but if they get hurt, who do you got then? You're going to truck out, I mean, I don't see great depth on this team. Do you, Stocks? I mean,
no. The depth is definitely a huge, thing that needs to be worked on here. And I don't know who the new owner of this team is, but he's going to have some work to do.
Let's go Bears. He's a Bears fan. So, granted, if there's a surprise guy, a guy that we don't know about, Stocks, we might find out about him week 4, week 5. We play in the division. We're going to find out what he's got. He could have a guy up his sleeves. Now, I want to ask real quick: is Tillman a Woodson category type guy where you put him at safety and not corner?
No, he's more of the press man corner. He likes to get up in the middle of the line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's that type of player that can do everything.
He's only got 92 press this year, though.
Yeah, so I mean that's solid. I mean that's good. That's the way he's built to play. But no, you can't move him around like that.
Yeah, put him on Kelvin Johnson, please. That's all I'm saying. I don't like his stats. I mean, to be completely honest with you.
No, I like his stats. He's not that flashy type of cornerback.
Yeah.
He does a little bit of everything well. His play recognition 87, his man and zone are 87, 89. I mean, he's not the flashy cornerback, but he's gonna give you a little bit of everything.
I do love the wide receivers that the Bears have got.
The wide, if that's the one thing they have depth, is you have to look at the wide receivers.
And I think in then Brandon Marshall and Anshan Jeffries will play a lot better than in real life. I think they play fairly well in real life, but I think this is one of the best wide receiver cores in the game.
Well, yeah, when you have a Devin Hester with the attributes he has coming out of the slot. Just get that guy, the ball in his hands and let him do the rest.
Yeah, so he's going to be your underneath guy. That's scary. He's your third option.
Is scary. He's going to be the mismatch for your third cornerback. And, he can break it at any time. He can take it 80 yards.
Listen to this. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers that aren't under 70. There's 6 wide receivers still 70 overall. And Weems. Weems is a 70 and Alshon Jeffries is 70, excuse me. So Weems is a 73 and Jeffries is a 70. That's pretty good to have 6 wide receivers and none of them be under 70 yet. The last 2 wide receivers are 67s. To give you an idea, Stocks, Brian Broyles, who also was in the second round like Jeffries, is a 65, So they gave some love to the Bears wide receivers, like you were saying. If that's the only spot they have depth in, it's a good spot to have it.
Yeah, when you still have Johnny Knox as your, 4th wide receiver, I mean, that's something else. Because Johnny Knox is a great, quick inside, slants. He's going to catch the ball, and he's going to take the hits.
And I honestly forgot about him, to be completely honest with you, because he isn't going to play in real life, it didn't look like. I mean, his prospects of playing in the NFL, it's gonna be a long road. He did a lot of damage. I'm not sure what the injury was. I know it was pretty ugly though.
Yeah, I remember. Yep.
And but in Madden terms, that's really good. That Knox, Hester, Brandon Marshall, and then Anshan Jeffries, who you could develop. And I wanted to look at him a little bit because I don't know. Do you put him? Is he? Who's the outside guy in that team? Is it Jeffries?
I think it's Earl Bennett.
Bennett?
Yeah,
See,
I would put him there.
I would almost throw Jeffries, even though the 70. I just like his size. You know, the thing that scares me about Jeffries, he's got 54 route running though. I don't know. I don't know if he could be
Yeah, you don't want
outside.
him on the outside with that bad route running.
That's the one thing I noticed. I mean, I'm just looking at this now. We're kind of doing this off the cuff. Route running, Brandon Marshall 95. That's terrific. 72 for the next guy. 82 for the next guy. Pretty good. But you got 54 from. Let me make sure I got this right. Yeah, Jeffries. I want to make sure, but I'm pretty sure they said 54. I'm gonna double check. Okay, now, because I don't want any Bears fans saying, "Oh, you're being unfair." Yeah, 54 for Onshed Jeffries. I don't know if I could put him on the outside.
No,
That's something that's got to be addressed. I like him in preseason. I think he'll probably get a boost because you do know they go off preseason ranks when they do their updates. He probably will get an upgrade. He deserves one. 54 is a little low. I don't want to spend all my time on the wide receivers, but that is a key thing that had to be addressed. Now I don't know if you know anything about Let's Go Bears, but he's old school. He knows his Bears. He relied a lot on the kicking game last year. Robbie Gould, he's one of the good kickers, and kicking's been reinvented, so that could be something. Just looking at the roster, though, they got some depth at running back as well. I don't like their depth on defense. Now their offense is all set. They got to keep that offensive line up straight.
Yeah, looking over the offensive line needs to be rebuilt. Their number one offensive lineman is their right tackle, and Gabe Karimi at a 79.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some depth there. Just going down the line, the offensive line depth is just is not there. I mean, if you have one injury, you're looking at guys in the 60s.
You better hit that free agent market, man. You better hit it hard.
You better, because you're gonna have a Clay Matthews or Sue barreling down
You
all day.
You better get one of those reusable bags, because you're gonna have to go to the free agent market quite a bit, I think.
Cutler's gonna be taking some hits. I believe the Bears' offensive line needs to be rebuilt in that aspect, and
that'd be the number one thing for me. I'd have to rebuild. I mean, I don't know. We don't know how big an offensive line is in Madden, and that's what drives me nuts. Because I'm a core football fan. Offensive line is so important in real life. It's so important in the aspect of football, but in some reason, in Madden, you can have the best offensive line, and they don't really seem to buy you that much more time. I mean, I remember in 12 I had Jake Long, and I had 90 post guys on my line in one franchise, and I didn't have any longer than I would have on my Lions, offensive line last year. So I was kind of disappointed in that. But yeah, if offensive line matters, the Bears don't have one.
Yeah.
Now I do love their offensive depth. I mean, they got one of the best backup quarterbacks, one of the best backup running backs. But again, I hate to go back, but Urlacher's not getting any younger. Lance Briggs not getting any younger. Is this a team that has to win now?
Yeah. Unless the owner comes in and does a garage sale or whatever and just sells off the pieces for draft picks and some young guys. He's looking at it. Yeah, win now and rebuild a little bit later, I guess.
I'm trying to be fair to everyone here. I don't want to make it sound like they don't have any young, defensive guys. They do. It's just in the grand scheme of things, they don't have great defensive depth. Now they have really fast guys. I mean, we talked about David Hester, 98. Johnny Knox, who you're going to be able to use in this game, 96. That's two fast guys, relatively small, but I don't know. I guess he has a Bears fan, so he's going to love this team. But what's the expectations for the Bears?
It's tough to say. They're good. They're good overall.
Yeah.
But if you take a couple injuries in there, it could really, really hurt this team and dismantle them.
I guess that could be said for any team, though. To be honest, I mean, if
Well,
I,
no,
if,
not in that way. Because if you're built that depth, you can
yeah.
you can take guys in and out and plug them in and not hurt you over, super bad.
That is a good point. I have to agree with that. I mean, I try to play devil's advocate, but I mean, if you lose somebody on that offensive line, Stock said there's 60 overall guys, and I don't want to hate though. I mean, this team's got speed. They got, like we said, wide receiver depth. They got two of the best running backs in the game. They got Julius Peppers, and this is an interesting point. The Bears, he's a Bears fan, but he's a very smart owner. He got a really good offer for Julius Peppers, and he took it. And it worked out for him, and, he was the guy who ran that 4-6 that first season, so, he knows how to mix and match his defenses as well. I mean, but that's pretty a bold move for being a Bears fan to move Julius Peppers, but that just shows you the guy wanted to win. He thought, he had a better offer. I don't know if you would trade Aaron Rodgers, one of your best players. Now, Julius Peppers, though, in this game, Madden 13, he is not young. I mean, he's not a young guy. Do you trade a guy like that?
If you can get a boatload for him, it's a tough call because there's only one Julius Peppers. But, they did give some love to their first-round pick in Shea McClellan.
Out of Boise State.
At 76 overall. I don't know if you can fill, Pepper's shoes at the right end. He plays left end.
Yeah.
Because Adonishe is solid. If you can get a boatload,
What-
draft picks, wide receivers, running backs, you may want to, depending on how you feel your upcoming season's going to be.
What's McClellan's speed? Because he played at Boise, and I think he stood up sometimes as a linebacker and in some hybrid packages.
His speed's an 83. He's got a 86 acceleration. The awareness is kind of low. I don't know how much of that's going to make a big deal at a 54 on the line. So that's, I don't know what his size and weight is. Would be also, if he's going to be using the 4-6 with this team.
This guy McClellan, I actually forgot about him, and it's my fault, Bears fans, but he's pretty good. He's kind of a hybrid linebacker, end type. Think a Ratpo, I guess.
Yeah, because he's got a 91 pursuit, and an 88 fitness move. So, those stand out, but the awareness doesn't. The awareness needs to go up in that aspect.
Most rookies have low, awareness, but that is something like Texas has to go up. I love their wide receiver depth. I mean, running back depth, again. Corners I'm not too high on, but I don't like Tillman. A lot of people like him, including Stocks. I mean, you said he's not bad. I'm just not a Tillman guy. I do like Major Wright, though.
Oh, Major Wright's a big hitter, definitely.
I do like Major Wright. So, I mean, granted, I said there wasn't a lot of depth. Now, that's exactly my point. There's some good young defensive players. I don't want to make it sound like, these guys are in retirement homes now. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, as a whole, I don't see, who's your replacement for Urlacher? Who's your replacement for Tillman? I mean, those are guys I don't, because although Major Wright can hit, I don't think he's not a corner, waiting. He's a safety. And so, I don't know. Any expectations of the Bears? You see them making the playoffs? They'll be right there with us, won't they?
Oh, yeah, they're just going to be there because they're just a hard-nosed team. They're going to make the special teams plays with Hester. And like you said, the simple game of the kicking game and the punting game, can, make a couple wins here and there and stuff. So, yeah, of course the Bears are always going to be there.
Now, I know this might upset you, but I think he's probably got, in a legacy standpoint, definitely Jason Hansen is the best kicker in the division, but the best up-and-coming kicker in that division is the Bears kicker. Now, you can make your case for Crosby if you want.
No, I won't.
I think Robbie Gould is